Morning. I've got a mechanic here with all new parts to put my engine back together again. I've had some problems, but I'll explain as we go along.
Which came first? I think it could be mangled up the port here around. Yeah, careful, yeah. I wonder if that gave name.
Mick the mechanic has already been here a couple of hours putting everything back together again. He first came here over a week ago diagnosing the problems. He took off the offending parts and sent away for replacements. Well, I haven't run the engine for over a month. I hope the starter battery's got plenty of charge in it, because it's going to take some stick.
Sorry about all this diesel down there, but it needs must, I'm afraid.
Listen, it ain't exactly palace down there.
Diesel will stop the rust anyway, won't it?
Yep.
Now he's trying to bleed the diesel round the fuel system. Come on, Aitch, fire up. By this time I'm starting to worry.
Getting there. So bloody Christmas. Just open it up again.
So if you run out of diesel, you'd have to go through all this to get it going?
Yeah, but as I said, when you run out of diesel, your pump will stop pumping,
Yeah.
and it'll still have fuel
Gotcha.
in the lines. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it'll be same principle. You're bleeding it to the pump and that, but you'll still have fuel in your lines. Yeah. Once that injection pump stops receiving fuel, it'll stop pumping fuel up the lines, and these injector pipes will still have fuel content in them.
Gotcha.
Not as much as they should have, but they still have fuel content.
There's a lovely old boat coming up to get in the tight mooring just behind me.
Sounds nice.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, sounds like that. Hiya.
You down in the mucky bit?
Always.
There's always something to do.
It's done that before.
Once or twice probably. I'm going to turn it over now.
Yes! Whoops! The poor old boy on the other boat's got a lung full of diesel fumes. Sorry, mate.
Don't be surprised if it stops, because we might be taking errors in the system. Like that. Hear that?
You can hear it's an old London taxi engine. That was a relief to get that finally sorted. Cheers, Mick, I appreciate that, and thanks for not swearing too much. We're going to pull up here before we properly get going to fill up with some water, empty the toilets, get rid of the rubbish, and then we're free. A day before they eased the lockdown restrictions and we was able to move the boats, I thought I'd turn the engine over to make sure that it was running alright. This resulted in clouds of smoke and the engine bay filling up with oil and diesel. I thought I blew the engine up. which would have cost me upwards of £4,000 to get a replacement fitted. Luckily it turned out to be the fuel injection pump. So I had a new one of them fitted, I had a new lift pump fitted, all the filters and an oil change. It wasn't exactly cheap, but it was a lot better than a replacement engine, which I first thought. I've been stuck there at Bishop Stortford for 5 months to the day, and all the other boaters that I've got to know left me over 3 weeks ago. Anyway, let's put that behind us now and get on with this cruise. I haven't said that for a while. This old weatherboarded building is all that's left of Phipps Yard and Swan Dock. It's still hanging on amongst all the modern developments. If you want to find out more, just pause the video and read this. I've said this before, but it looks like all the old riverside businesses and land has been bought up by developers. Instead of building houses, they're building apartments and flats on there. More of a return, I suppose, on their investment. I suppose they're not too worried about what it looks like. And how it changes the atmosphere of the place. It must help with the shortage of housing, but the way I look at it is that's not the be all and end all. If you have a good look around Bishop Stortford, there's some beautiful historic houses and buildings. There's an old Maltings over here on the right hand side that's been converted to various businesses. This end of it is a Chinese restaurant, which I've heard is very nice. I didn't get to sample any of it because it's been closed since I've been here. They've named it the River Mill.
Hi. Hello. Not bad, you? Out for a walk? Right. See you later.
Over there on the left is a massive car park for the train station. A lot of the people that live here commute into London for their work. I'm coming up to a bridge soon with a sharp right turn, and you can't see if anything's coming, so I'm going to give the horn a blast. That sounded like a bit of a damp squib. I hope it's loud at the other end of the boat. Not far now and we'll be out of town and getting into the countryside. I've only been looking forward to that for about 4.5 months. What do they say? Patience is a virtue. Vince the Virtuous. It's got a good ring to it, hasn't it? You can see what I mean now, but you can't see what's coming the other way. Luckily there's not too many boats moving at the moment, but you still got to be aware just in case. If you watch my channel, the boat coming up on the right hand side you should be familiar with. I'll give you a clue. I enjoyed the day that I spent with Adam watching him do all the sign writing. Very interesting. I'm going to moor Aitch over here on the right hand side so that I can check all the engine and the engine bay, make sure everything's pucker. I might even stay for the night and move off in the morning. We'll see. Where I'm on my own and I haven't got a crew to hold a centre line while I bang the mooring pins in for the stern and the bow, I'll show you what I do. When I jump off, I take a mooring pin and a hammer with me, and I bang the mooring pin temporarily, not all the way in, and then just roughly tie the boat back so that it holds it in place while I can go to the bow, go to the stern and moor it up properly. I've learnt this through trial and error. No one's really taught me anything. Like when I first started doing it, I'd jump off, start mooring the bow or the stern up, and the other end would drift out into the middle of the river. I don't know if it's right, but it's what I do. We're off again. I ended up staying there for 2 nights. The next day was like gale force winds, and I didn't fancy moving the boat or doing filming in that kind of wind. The old weather doesn't seem too bad today, so I'm looking forward to taking you on a nice little cruise with me. Still looks quite urban where we are at the moment, but one thing I have noticed since I've been doing this, sometimes when you come up to a bridge, you get the other side, the scenery changes completely. So let's have a look at this one. Lovely. This is more like what I signed up for when I undertook this lifestyle. Looks like we're finally out of Bishop Stortford, and all being well, I've got a fair few miles of this type of scenery to look forward to. I can't wait. We're going to be going past a weir which is coming up on the right hand side. when you get a weir on the River Stort, it usually signals that you've got a lock coming up. The weir takes the excess water around the lock and stops it flooding over the lock. And it keeps the levels of the river pretty constant. The boats on the left there are on permanent moorings, so they're all hooked up with electricity and water. Behind the boats is a campsite. You've got like camper vans there, caravans. I don't know if they've got a clubhouse, but it looks nice and peaceful. We can't be no more than a quarter of a mile outside the town now, and it's amazing how drastic the change of scenery and way of life is. Right, I've got to start concentrating now. I've got a lot coming up, and let's hope I can remember how to do them. So long since I've done one. It's in my favour and the gates are open, so that's always a plus. So I'll go straight in then. I'll probably put the mockers on it saying this, but I'm surprised how I'm handling the boat for not doing nothing for 5 months. I thought I'd be a bit more rustier than this. I find it a lot easier going down in locks, and all the locks from here up to the River Lee will be going down, so that's handy. As the boat is going down in the lock, I'm making sure that it doesn't drift back and the stern gets hooked up on the seal. That noise that you can hear is the leaky lock gates. Don't want want to get too close to that, or as it will give the stern more water than it can handle. I'm thinking of mooring up not far past this lock. The only problem is with this river is you've got shallow edges and you can't get in close. So we'll have a go, but I won't guarantee anything. Looks like a lovely old lock cottage here, and it's renting out its riverside as permanent moorings to a couple of boats. Lovely wide beam there. I'm not drunk, but I'm starting to lose slight control of Aitch here for some reason. It's acting weird, the handling of Aitch. There was a lot of detritus, or crap as they say from my area, in that lock that I've just been in, and I'm wondering if some of it's got caught around the prop and the rudder. So what I'll do, I'll give it a burst of reverse, see if it clears it. Let's see if that makes any difference. Yeah, seems like the boat's responding now to what I want it to do. That's a relief, because I don't think it would have gone down too well ploughing into them moored boats. Okay, panic over. Let's concentrate on getting a mooring just past this winding hole. It looks very beautiful round here. What I'll do, if I get moored up, I'll pan the camera around and show you what it's like. The GRP cruiser over there on the right was locked down in Bishop Stortford with me. Seems to have found a nice little off towpath mooring. I'm going to try and pull alongside on the left up here. Depends how shallow the banks are.
Alright. Yeah, you? What's that? Yeah. Cost a fall to, but yeah. That's just over quick. See if I can get in here.
I'm going to aim the bow in there and go slowly and do a little test on the depth. See if it bottoms out. Seems okay so far. going to take the bow out to the right so the boat is angling to the towpath when I reverse it. I'll get the boat moving in reverse. Before I get too close to the bank, I'll take it out of gear so the prop don't get damaged. If it hits anything, if it bottoms out, just let it drift in. Then hopefully I'll be able to pull it alongside with the centre line. Yep, looks like we've done it. I'll show you how pretty this little area is. We've got like a nature reserve over the back here, a lot of bird life. Very peaceful. Then up here, closer to the lock cottage, you've got like a backwater that goes all the way behind that lock cottage and the lock, and permanently moored boats. Looks idyllic round here. And then if you look behind that tree, that's where Aitch is there. I've got to show you this lovely traditional looking narrowboat that's moored here. Really smart. What a perfect end to a lovely day. Thanks for coming along with me, and I'll see you next time.